Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Good afternoon, listeners. This is Christy with a bit of a little sinus situation happening, so have a fun, different voice. And with me is
Dave, her husband.
Hi, honey.
Hi.
So we are on a Western Caribbean 7-night cruise on the Disney Fantasy, and Steve and his family are on this cruise as well. So what we thought we would do is separate snippets where we'd each, and then Steve and I will record at some point together, but that we would each do a snippet each day, but this is day 2, but work with us here, about the events of the cruise, things like that. And then he will air them all separately, like my cabin snippets and then Steve's cabin snippets, like those will be separate episodes. So that's sort of the plan. So that's where we're at.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, day 2, you can't expect us to do something day 1. There's too much muster drills and cleaning and unpacking.
And tree lighting. Okay, so we'll talk about our day 1 experience. Things were a little bit different. So this is a Merrytime cruise, and we brought a little 2-foot tree, which we still don't have for our room, to keep in our cabin, because last year it was so cute and pretty and we loved it, but security took it this year.
It's a plug-in tree. Like a little tiny pre-lit plug-in tree. And they said, because of the lights. Well, and so in the restrictions of what you could bring, a string of lights was not allowed, but nothing said a pre-lit tree was not allowed. And so I then went, the security person that, after they take your tree away, give you a slip and say you can collect it when your cruise is over. So the security person said that I could go to the manager's desk and talk to them. The manager's desk, I actually did talk to somebody. It was quite the line, but didn't have anything else to really do at that point. We were just kind of waiting for boarding.
Yeah. That person said, well, we will collect your trees, we'll get them on board, we'll have them investigated by the electrical people. Okay. So what we've since learned is that if you packed your tree in your carry-on luggage, everybody in the Facebook group who did that, and the checked luggage, yeah. All of their trees made it on no problem, but some of the people with carry-on trees had problems with their trees. Yep. So I guess the lesson is to check your tree. And
one of the trees that we brought, it was a brand new one. We hadn't even unboxed it really, and it was for Grandma's room. It ended up being a battery-operated one, which they then returned to us. But it was interesting because they confiscated both trees at the same time. They didn't bother looking at them. They just took the trees immediately. And then the one with the battery has been returned, but we haven't seen not hide nor hair of the plug-in one yet.
Right. So then, and so like we mentioned, Grandma's on the cruise too. So we are in adjacent cabins. So they are next to each other. They are not connecting. We did get them to open up the balcony, and that's been actually great.
Yeah.
So that we can bop back and forth between the two if we want. But Grandma uses, we've talked about before, I think, a scooter. And this time she didn't have a handicap room. And we went to plug in the scooter, in the, stairway lobby last night. And one of the room stewards was like, well, what did they say, Dave?
They said, I'm sorry, you can't store that here. Because I was kind of fiddling with the plug. The plug didn't seem to be working, so I was trying to figure out why it wasn't charging. And the room steward had popped out and said, I'm sorry, you can't actually store that here. You have to store it down on deck 2 outside of Enchanted Garden, which is where we were told, you pick it up. That's where you first get the scooter. Now, he did say, what he told us was that if you contact guest services
and then inform them that you don't have a handicap room, so you don't have room to store it in your inside of your room, but you're going to store it in that little elevator lobby area, that they will inform security, and then security will just ignore it when they do their sweeps. Otherwise, security will collect the scooter and they will take it back down to Enchanted Garden area to store it permanently. Now, since then, we then contacted guest services to let them know that, and they basically said that there was no exception and that you had to basically store it on deck 2.
And not only store it on deck 2, but anytime she wasn't using it, take it to deck 2.
Yeah.
Which we are deck 7 aft, and to take it down to the midship elevators, deck 2, anytime, it's just futile. Like that's not going to work. And what's interesting is when the Wish came out, there were reports that you couldn't keep your scooters because there wasn't any room to store them near the elevator banks, so near the staircase, the stairway lobby. And so there was a difference. Like, it was pointed out, like, you couldn't keep your scooter there. So that was different than this ship, and yet it's like, I don't know if everybody's new or they're like, they look at us like we were crazy that we've ever seen a scooter by those elevator lobbies or by the stairway lobbies. And we're like, 20 cruises, we've always seen scooters by the lobbies. Yeah. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, we talked to some managers, and they understood our concerns that, it is a major inconvenience. Now, they did say, guest services did say, well, we can go get it for you and bring the scooter. But then there were a lot of limitations around that. It was only during the day, and you first have to get through to guest services, and then you have to wait for them to send somebody and then bring the scooter. And if you didn't leave the key with them, then there's that whole kerfuffle. So it's a lot of inconvenience that they acknowledged was an issue. The other thing that was interesting was that they didn't really understand why we hadn't been told that. So, because we questioned, why did no one inform us of this when we got the scooter in the first place? And they did say that it should have been done where Disney would have communicated this to the scooter company, and then when you rent the scooter, you're supposed to get a packet of information that should include details about where you're supposed to store the scooter. And that actually did not happen. So they're going to be looking into that policy communication for us. Perhaps. We hope.
So there's that. Oh, and I'll point out, too, the other thing is, so this is, I guess, really important. If you are a listener or, have one, right? Somebody that you're traveling with that needs a scooter, that when we would call to, reserve the handicap room, they're always like, do you need the services of the room, like the grab bars in the bathroom and the toilet area and the wheel-in shower? And because my mom didn't need those things, we then were like, well, then let's just not get a handicap room to save those for the people that need the roll-in shower, and we'll just, store the scooter where we thought we had seen it for all these cruises. So it's been an interesting thing. So if you have a scooter, you really are going to need a handicap room because otherwise it's just not doable.
Yeah, I almost feel like that what you have to interpret if you need the services is just in general any service related to a handicapped person. Or if you need that scooter. Or a scooter, extend that to the scooter and say, yes, we need that for our person.
Yeah, so there was that. Okay, other things that were different is muster stations. These have been reported are back. Yours was inside a theater, and there was a video that played.
Yep.
We are on the other side of a firewall, even though we have adjacent rooms. And so we were Blake and I are in a different muster station. Obviously, my family of 3 are all sleeping in the same room, but we were assigned different cabins to start the cruise. So my muster station was outside. And then they didn't have the little iPad or the little, machine computer, right? It's like an iPad. It's not an iPad.
It's like a tablet, yeah.
Tablet.
It's a tablet, yeah.
To check off that we were there. And so they just wrote everybody's room number down. And shock of shocks, they didn't have us as being present.
Well, and it's interesting they didn't have the tablet where we were either, but it was a much more organized, it felt like. Because we walked up, her mother was already there.
Oh, there was a chart.
And they had a printed out chart of all the rooms. And so I said my room number. And she said, oh, yes, I see, mother-in-law is already here. You must be David. I said, yeah. And she said, okay, here you go. So then they checked me off the list. But your experience was they were simply scribbling in a notebook.
Yeah,
all the room numbers.
They wrote down the room numbers in a notebook.
Yeah.
I'm so shocked that they didn't then somehow note us being present. So then, apparently last night, I got a message on my from in the app saying that I needed to go to a thing. I never saw it until actually today.
Yeah.
At 7:30 to do a muster station. I missed that. Then I had a note on our door that said, "You missed the muster station. You have to go." And then there was supposed to be a thing at 10 a.m. and then I was having breakfast with Steve and just hanging out with.
Well, and you've been to the muster drill.
And I've been to the muster drill, so I missed that. Then they're like, "Call at your convenience." Well, it hadn't been convenient yet to call because they don't answer the phone.
Yeah.
And the chat is gone, so I'm very sad about that.
Yeah, you can't chat with them through the app anymore.
You can't chat with guest services.
And the other thing that we noticed too was that they keep referring you to the app for a lot of things, but when you first get on, they did acknowledge that this should have been working this way. But in the app, it tells you right on the front page, you have to go to your muster station for the drill, and it tells you what your station is. So we were station P, Christy and Blake were station N. But it doesn't tell you where that muster station is.
Yeah.
And if you click on details, it just says more information about, yes, you have to go to the muster drill and so on. The security people we talked to did say that it should have actually brought up a map and shown you where it was. On the back of your door, it does indicate where your muster station is. So for now, if you have a question, you can always ask somebody or you can refer to your door. But in theory, the app should be telling you.
Well, we've always
just asked people where we were supposed to go.
You hold out your card, right?
Yeah,
and then they
say, "Oh, go here."
Anyway, so yesterday we had a bit of that kind of drama. Our serving team is amazing.
Oh, very good.
And even Steve, he's going to say this in his snippet, but both of we're in early dining, they're in late dining, so we're not eating together, but we see each other on the ship and stuff. But both of our experiences are that these serving teams for a day one experience too have been on it.
Very much, yeah. Especially for day one, they were really on the ball.
On the ball. So that was really, really great. We're very excited about that for the whole week.
And so far, they've been really good about, you always have that first conversation of being gluten-free and celiac. I've got to order my stuff ahead of time, and there's certain dishes that you really, I want to have these while I'm on the trip. And sometimes it takes a bit of convincing to say, I've had it done before, they can do it. And here they were just, yep, no, we will make sure that you have this.
Yeah.
Might be on this other day, but we will make sure you have these dishes.
Yeah, so you guys, there's been reports that the fried brie, there's been supply issues and they haven't been available. Well, it is being served on this cruise. Fun. It is being served on this cruise, and of course, my dinner was at Royal Court. I don't know if that's really the name of the restaurant.
Yeah. It is.
And so I didn't get to have it last night because fried brie has to be pre-ordered. But our server is going to get me fried brie today. So if you're gluten-free and or you just like fried brie, it's not gone forever because we've had people reporting back that they hadn't been able to get it. So I'm sorry for those people. But I will be getting fried brie with my dinner tonight. Even though we're at Animators, they'll bring it to us. Okay, so what else did we do? We hung out with Steve and Wake quite a bit yesterday.
Well,
Andrew
it was funny.
For a little bit
we
too.
Across the atrium both saw the tree lighting ceremony.
Oh yeah, so we went to that. Oh my word, there are some people. I took a picture. I'll post it with the show notes. That just how crowded. Blake actually went to the kids club.
Yeah.
So what we do for him, and obviously other families could do whatever they want, but he eats his dinner
and then so he eats his dinner, and then he might want dessert, might not want dessert, but he basically, as soon as he's done with dinner, start asking, when can I go to the kids club? And so one of us, whoever's sort of done with our meal when it's time, will pop out, take him up to the kids club, check him in, and then come back. And it's usually right around the dessert time. So, it's really kind of a good accommodation for that. Last night we knew the tree lighting ceremony was there. It was tempting to want to take him because he would really love that. But he, like us, does not like the crowds. And I think that he would not have enjoyed those crowds last night. We were on deck 5 on the balcony overlooking. And if you imagine, you've got decks 3, 4, and 5 all are that atrium level. And it was jammed. Every level was jam-packed. I think, what was it? You noticed on deck 4, it was like six layers deep of people, and these are not. I mean, these balconies, if you're familiar with Disney ships, those 4 and 5 decks, those balconies are not super wide. So,
and we were like in this back corner over by Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. I had never even been down the back of this
that section.
Hallway on deck 5, and it was just so crowded.
Oh yeah, and then and you do, like you said, you took a picture. The lobby area was just completely shoulder to shoulder full. Of people. But it was a neat little presentation. They came out. It was a little challenging because there are some people that, their teenage kids are there and they're not really respecting the fact that you want to kind of hear the presentation. But the cruise director came out and she did a little thing, and then she brought out the Fab Five, and the family
of the day or
family,
whatever.
Yep,
however, the family that was lighting the tree or helping with that.
And they did a few Christmas carols, and they had the family that was lighting the tree. They gave them some quote unquote pixie dust, and then they on the count of 3 or 10, they did a 10 countdown, and they threw the confetti, and then the whole room lit up. So the whole experience was very, very cool, but just very, very crowded.
And the gingerbread house is big and giant and beautifully lit. But it is interesting. I didn't remember that from the past.
No.
That maybe they didn't do that last year. Because we were on the ship last year.
Yeah.
I didn't remember the tree being dark.
I don't remember it being dark either. I seem to remember it just being lit. We may have missed it.
We may have missed that it was dark and then it was lit. But anyway, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad I saw that.
Yeah. And then we got to hang out with Steve and his wife, and we got to go get some drinks together. And
Yep.
Before they went up to their late dinner.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we went to bed and, dealt with the scooter and went to bed. So, and then today I had breakfast with Steve and Wake at Cabanas on the aft of the ship. God, it was absolutely gorgeous back there. And we had the Wake right there.
Like it, yeah.
The breeze was going. That was really nice. And then we had champagne tasting. It got moved an hour. So that's another thing. If you book something, sort of keep track of the time, but then watch it, because we're all certain that it said 1 o'clock yesterday, and today our champagne tasting was at noon.
Yep.
But that was great.
It was, and the sommelier that was doing it was really good. He was very informed.
Competing with the World Cup finals that were next door, in literally the space next door to ours, and yet that all worked out. It was that was so fun. And
we all I think everyone in the room bonded over the reactions happening in the other room whenever a goal or non-goal occurred.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that was really funny. Hung out with Steve and his family a little bit more, or Steve and Wake a little bit more. And then I took a nap.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, well, we went to have lunch.
Yes.
So,
we went to have lunch, and we decided to go to Royal Court because
there was a dish that looked good for me.
Yeah.
And
well, with celiac, it's easier sometimes to go to the Royal Court because it's not as crazy with cabanas and trying to figure out how to get something from behind the line rather than off the line and having that conversation with them. It's easier sometimes, but yeah, there was a dish that looked good for you that didn't turn out great.
Yeah. So gluten-free noodles sometimes are hard to cook.
Yeah.
They had a hard time cooking these, but then also I was like, oh no, do I have like COVID or something? Because I don't taste very much when I'm eating these noodles. And then Dave tasted them. He's like, no, they don't taste like anything.
It's like it kind of had no taste, the entire dish. So
that was fine. So then I just came up and I ordered an all hands on deck cheese plate.
Yeah.
Like with a couple of extra pieces of brie because that's my favorite.
And had a beautiful nap.
Took a beautiful nap. And now we are going to get ready for formal night.
Yeah.
Which won't be very formal for us.
No.
Maybe a little bit more.
Maybe I'll wear pants.
That's saying a lot.
Maybe collared shirt. I'll wear my polo shirts.
And I put on some sort of dress, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
And Blake, he doesn't even have real pants, so
no,
he's like blue jeans and whatever. It's fine. So that's the plan, and then we have plans to meet up with Steve and his family after. Steve's son, I'm sure he'll point this out, is just gone. Alex is
I haven't seen him yet.
No, me neither. Alex is always gone. So Andrew is often hanging out, so we get to see him. But we are going to meet because they'll do a toast before the dinner seatings. Like you get, your free drink. And so we're going to meet and do that.
Yeah.
Before their dinner, after our dinner.
And that'll be fun.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's our snippet. That's day 1 and 3/4.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Wait, when
All right, so we're not very good at snippets.
Nope. We always say, oh, we should record a snippet, and then we never do.
Nope. So it's day 7.
Yeah.
Cruise is over, basically.
Cruise is basically over.
But so we're at Castaway. It was like a stormy afternoon.
Yeah. Going out there, it was very breezy but cloudy, and it was gorgeous air weather, and then it just got...
I mean, not for swimming.
Not for swimming, no, but for just kind of hanging out at the beach.
Yeah.
And then as the day went on, it just got darker and darker and windier, and then it just opened up.
Yeah, and it was like almost hailing.
Yeah, it was either really hard rain or there were little pieces of hail in there because it was pelting.
Pelting, yeah. So Steve and his family actually got stuck at Castaway. They asked people to stay in place if they were located somewhere because it was a lot of lightning.
Yeah.
Like close lightning.
Yeah.
So.
And we were fortunate that we were able to get our food in, and then we just said, okay, you know what? We're just going to...
It looks like it's going to be raining.
Start raining a little bit, and we made our way back, and we got poured on as we walked up to the ship. But.
So, and we were over by like the first part of the beach where Cookies 1 is located. And we made it to the tram, and it had just like arrived and was like letting people off. So we go, you know what? We're here. The tram is here. It hadn't started to rain yet, or it hadn't really started to rain. So we said, well, let's just get on the tram. Well, it took them like 15 minutes to load it.
Yeah.
And then they were like doubling up and putting more people than even the little butts in the... So I guess the moral of this story is if you see a tram, maybe don't take it if you're good at walking, because it definitely took us longer than it had we just walked.
More crowded, and yeah. And we normally don't take the tram, but again, it was,
not.
It pulls up and we're like, oh, well, we could just take the tram.
Because, like, how long can it take to load? Well,
Yeah.
too long. So anyway, that's a mistake maybe that we wouldn't have made again. If it starts thundering and lightning, they won't really let you leave. You then have to stay in shelter for safety, obviously. So that's what happened to Steve's family. But whatever. Castaway was fine. Blake went to the kids club for a little bit, like an hour maybe, 45 minutes or something. And
then we got lunch, and you found our server who was there monitoring the Cookies 1, and he was able to get your food for you. And then I got in the long line and got Blake and my food. And then,
yeah, the lines were really long.
Lines were very, very long. I don't know.
Which
if it was
was
just 'cause it
funny
cloudy.
because the beach was empty, and like when we were on the beach was empty.
Yeah, it was very few people. It felt
And
like
then
we got off.
as soon as we got like back to the walkway to go to Cookies, it was jammed.
Yeah.
Jammed.
I feel like whatever people were there, they went to lunch earlier because of the fact that it was so cloudy and just kind of not great water weather.
And I don't know if Steve's going to talk about this, but he just sent a text actually that they cleared the beach because it's actually like blue skies in part of the sky now. And, it's done storming, it's done raining. But it sounds like they were like, nope, we're done.
Yeah.
And they actually just came on, the cruise director came on and made an announcement that, like, to close the app and to reopen it, that they've added a bunch of activities, which that's one thing that I have to give Disney props for. I mean, there's many things, but definitely the ability to pivot like that and to come up with activities, like, on days that they can't get into a port, or if it's like, you're at Castaway and it's a total rain out, they really do work hard to say, okay, we need to give people activities now. And so typically the kids club wouldn't open until much later on Castaway Day, but they even announced that was going to be opening sooner. So, yeah.
I feel like a lot of other ships just rely on, well, we'll just open the bar earlier and throw drinks at people. And I think Disney recognizes that, especially with the nature of the number of kids they have on, they just can't do that. And
right.
So I think it's good for them to add activities.
Yep. There are some loud people on balconies right now. It's like, it almost sounds like an announcement, but I don't think it's an announcement.
That's right.
Okay, so what other...
Since our last snippet, we did see the show. We saw the
Frozen show. We love that show.
Yeah. It was
Absolutely
really well
love
done.
that show.
We were in the very, very back of the very, very upper.
Yep.
Had a pole on our way, but still saw the show, and it was very pleasant.
Big pole.
Very big pole. And then we were able to duck out when they wrapped up the show, and then the cruise director came back out to do his final wrap-up. We just kind of ducked out.
Snuck away.
So we get down the elevators.
So one of the things we wanted to talk about was the Kids Club and Blake's experience on a Disney ship versus Celebrity, because we never did end up doing a Celebrity trip report, and a lot of people had questions, so we want to give that a few minutes. The thing is, so we asked Blake the other day, and we didn't get a great answer about really...
He's in a very
he liked.
Critical phase of his personality, where he likes to be critical of things, but then says he really likes it. So, I think he's still working on his ability to critique things.
But the bottom line is, the end of Blake's comment was that he likes both.
Yeah.
He likes the Kids Club on Celebrity, and he likes the Kids Club on Disney. So the thing he likes about Celebrity is that there's less children, for sure. The thing he likes about Disney is that there's more to do. But to that end, he likes the Kids Club on Celebrity.
Yeah. Well, and I feel as a parent kind of observing the stories that came out of the Kids Club, I feel like Celebrity does a better job of figuring out things to do. Disney sort of relies on, there are set activities that happen in the Kids Club throughout the week, and there's just things that are there for kids to play with. And they just kind of rely on that. Whereas Celebrity, I feel like, especially because we were there for Thanksgiving, they did like a camp out night where they took all the kids and watched a movie, and then they did I think it was with s'mores.
Intense, like a lot of s'mores, and they preheated the marshmallows, and they did the whole thing. Like, they really went to town.
I think because kids are so rare on the Celebrity ships, they tend to go overboard of trying to find fun things for the kids to do, whereas Disney, it's like, well, here are your things. And I can't remember. So Blake said the one critique he had was there was like this. Oh, he was talking about today, like on the island. His critique of the on Castaway Keys Kids Club is it's rotational, and he said it's like, whereas in the regular Kids Club it sort of is rotational too, but at the same time you can kind of decide if you want to do craft and just stick with craft. You can kind of go do what you want. Whereas on the island, there's the splash pad, there's the dinosaur dig, and then there is what was the third one? It was like playing in the sand or something. I don't remember. But you basically go from one to the other. So you're assigned to a counselor on the island, and when that counselor then moves from one spot to another, you basically have to move with them, whether you're ready to or not. And so that was his one complaint about being on the island, is that if he wanted to do one thing, he has to get stuck there.
Right.
So, but I think overall it's hard. He has sort of likes the fewer kids on the Celebrity, but also likes more of the things that you can do on Disney. So it's a little bit of a toss up for him.
Yep. One of our magnets got taken off our door.
Yeah, that's fun.
So we had a DCL podcast magnet, and it's gone.
And this is one of the issues, I think, in general. In general, people don't tend to monitor their kids on cruise ships. When you've got Disney where you've got a lot of kids, it just means you have a lot of kids not being monitored on a cruise ship. And so you get kids that are doing what they think are funny things that end up being annoying to most people. So
yeah, and some people reported in the Fish Extender group for this week that like they were supposed to do magnet swaps, and actually had these ornaments hanging from their door that they were going to then gift at the end of the cruise, and people took them. And, like, it was, like, a pin board where you're supposed to, like, do a pin trading, and they just took pins but didn't trade them.
Didn't trade, just took the pins.
So, there's a bit of that going on this week, which is it's a bummer.
It's disappointing.
Right? You wanna have faith in your fellow man.
Yeah, that everyone's going to have fun, rather
right.
than just people taking.
Yeah. So,
it's been really relaxing, this trip. We just haven't really done much.
Very relaxed. Because the temperatures have been a little cooler for us, it's been perfect. We've been sitting on the balcony a lot and had the balcony door open a lot.
Yeah, at nighttime, especially after dinner, we come up, sit in the balcony while Blake's in the kids club, and it's just really pleasant to hear the water and just sit out in the atmosphere. It's really nice.
My mom's actually slept with her cabin door open a couple of times.
Oh, wow.
All night.
Wow.
Just like let the ocean air come through.
And it's been nice actually having this like connecting balcony with your mom that we're able to pop between the two, and Blake can walk in the morning if he wants to over there and say hi to her.
Yeah, that's been nice.
Yeah.
Well, so our schedule for several days has been where we would see Steve. So I'll usually go up and have breakfast with he and his family in the morning. Alex almost never makes it. So it's Steve and I and Wake. And then their son shows up, the older son, eventually. And then whether the younger son shows up is just, who knows. And I bring back parfaits, yogurt parfaits for my mom and Dave. Blake drinks his milk. And that's been like a nice routine. So that's been most of the mornings. Having breakfast with them has been really nice. And then we'll do lunch either at Cabanas or at the sit-down restaurant. Yeah. So usually we'll look at the menu to see if it's something that we wanted. And then dinner has been rotationally wherever it's been. We ate at Palo, which we talked about on the snippet I did with Steve. So that I think we've already basically addressed. But that's always good.
It's very good.
There's a guy watching some sort of like very intense movie in the balcony next to us.
Yep.
So you may hear that. I think you're hearing that probably coming through now. Which is just one of those things, right? If you're going to watch a movie, maybe put your headphones on.
Yeah. Or be in your cabin.
If you're going to be on the balcony, wear headphones.
There's a lot of the etiquette that doesn't seem to happen where people are taking phone calls, FaceTimes, whatever, and they speak very loudly and they just decide to go out to the balcony.
Very loudly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What else? Blake has been in the kids club a lot.
A lot. Today and yesterday, I think, are the only times that he sort of started to taper that off a bit.
Yeah.
Where I think he decided to spend a little time with grandma and just kind of enjoy. So, but he's really liked he likes the independence of going down there and just kind of doing his own thing.
I mean, we wouldn't really call it independence here because he's not going by himself.
Well, no. But like independence of once he's in there, he can
can do what he wants.
Do what he wants. So, he's at the age where we're tempted to let him start going on his own, but it's still...
But he's even afraid because, like, he went up to Cabanas with me the one day and to get milk to bring back down for himself. And we are immediately off the elevator. Yeah. Like, it is...
He just has to get on, hit 7, walk off, and he's right there.
And he was a little timid.
Yeah. Which is good. It's healthy to have that hesitancy.
The balcony movie is getting more intense, guys. Did you hear that? Did you hear the ramped up music?
Things are occurring.
Things are occurring. All right. Do we have anything else? Pandora charms cost more now.
Yeah.
And if you ever wanted Captain Minnie, now you have to take First Mate Mickey. I'm sorry, guys. That's just the joke that now Chris and I have stuck with. But you have to have First Mate Mickey on the other side. So, and they're $90 now.
Yeah.
But there's a really cute Castaway charm.
Yeah.
And also $90. So there you go. That's what I've spent.
That's how they get you.
That's what I spent my vacation money on.
Yeah.
Well, we've had an amazing serving team.
Very good serving team. If you get to know your head waiter, ask their opinions. Like if you have a future cruise coming up, it's valuable to ask like, hey, who should I ask for? Because they will give you some good advice. So if you've made a good connection, try to use that connection to find good people on your future cruises.
If you are going on the Fantasy in the next couple of months, I'm not really sure when his break is.
Yeah.
But our waiter is Serkan, Sercan, I think. Can from Turkey. And he is really good.
Excellent.
Like, he's actually a head waiter, but they did not have a spot for him or something, he said.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, so he had to step down a little bit.
During the daytime, when he's at Cabanas or even at the beach today, he wears his head waiter shirt.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, yeah, that's right.
But then in the evening, for dinner, he is a server, and man, he's good.
Yep. And our assistant server, I think, is a server in training, so he's also very, very good. And even like our head waiter, it's one of those things. I think you pointed out that most head waiters, they come around, they announce themselves, and then they you barely ever see them. He's actually out there, and he'll help clear tables and stuff like that. So he's actually working with them to make sure that things are going smoothly. So it's our team is really, really good.
Yeah, and so he's clearing the tables. He's actually walking around, walking up to them. Do you need anything right now?
Yeah.
So,
and it's really funny too, because there was one night where the gluten-free, where we were, the chef that was handling the allergy meals in our waiters servers esteem was not so it wasn't that Christy had bad food or anything like that, but it was taking longer and stuff like that, and our server was just I'm not happy with him, so I'm trying to push him along. I'm asking why it's taking so long.
And he actually goes, and tomorrow there's a better chef down there that I can get to get your food, so it'll be more on time. It's just very cute. I mean, it hasn't been a big deal, but
no, but it's very fun.
Yeah, it's all been good.
Yeah.
So this was a good cruise. We're super happy we're here again.
Yes.
I think we talked about our trees, and both trees ultimately made it.
Yep.
To our cabin.
They finally gave us the one that plugs in.
If you are going to bring a tree on a Merrytime cruise, I would say put it in your checked luggage. And if it does cause a problem, ask them to have it investigated. Because that's what we did. And they ultimately cleared it.
Yeah.
Not that I necessarily want them to do more work, but it really is pretty infested in the cabin.
If it's battery operated, it shouldn't be a problem. They may still have to check it, especially if you're carrying it on.
Checked.
But if you show them it's battery operated, they should let it on. It's the plug-in ones that are the issue, because they have to make sure it matches up with their electrical system and doesn't cause fires and stuff like that.
If they choose to, because a whole bunch of people got them on without issue.
Yeah,
the Facebook group.
It seems random.
So, another good week.
Yep, another good week.
Sad that it's the end.
And no more cruises until spring break. Yeah, 3 more months until our next cruise.
And I actually have one with
Alexis, that's right. You have one in February. Yeah, you have
sort of a travel agent type cruise.
You could have 2 in March if you wanted.
I know I could have gone on another one, but I am hopeful that my no will stick.
Yeah.
Because my friend won a cruise, and I just need to work a bit. I think it's important.
Well, actually sleep in your own house.
Yeah, I do like my house. Mm-hmm. All right, reach out if you have any questions. I hope you've enjoyed our snippets. If there's anything enlightening to share about getting off the ship tomorrow, we'll let you know. But if not, it's been a good cruise.
Yeah. They're very fun.
And we'll see you all later. Bye.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.